Welcome back to Champion Secrets. Today, I'm addressing your question on what is the correct stance for defense. So I'm gonna break this up into singles and doubles. So when it comes to the position to stand in for singles defense, it all depends on where the shot is coming from. So generally we have this area in the middle of the court, which I refer to as your base area. And the base area is about a circle like this. But the base area shifts depending on where the shuttle is coming from. So if your opponent is coming from this side of the court with their shot, then your base for singles is going to float over closer to protect the straight approaching shot. The reason for this is because the badminton court is not a square. It is a rectangle. So it's not as long as it is wide. What that means is we need to protect the fastest, shortest distance shots, which are going to be the straight approaching shots. So if my opponent is over there in their forehand side, if they're right-handed, hitting their shot over to me, then I'm gonna shift my defensive base over so that I've got my one foot straddling the center line, but you'll notice most of the space is onto the left side of my court. And that's to protect the straight shots, the straight clear, the straight smash, and the straight drop, because those are the ones that are going to come down fastest. If my opponent hits a cross-court shot, it will take longer for that shot to arrive to my side because of the rectangular shape of the singles court. Therefore, I'll have more time to cross over and get to it. So you have to cover your worst case scenario first, which is the straight approaching shots. Likewise, if my opponent is hitting from their backhand side of the court, if they're right-handed, then I'm going to shift my base over to my right side of the court so that I can cover now the straight approaching shots, which are going to be down into my forehand for a right-handed player. Still, I want to have one foot straddling the center line so that I'm not too far over, because this exposes and makes me too vulnerable in the cross court. But as long as I stay somewhat in the middle, but still favoring the straight, then I'll have time to get over and cover the cross court shots if those come at me from my opponent. Now you'll notice that when I'm showing these demonstrations, I'm also turning my hips, because you want to square up. This goes for singles or doubles. You want to square up with the hitter. And what that means is you want your hips to face directly square. That means totally in line with your opponent who's about to hit the shot. So if my opponent is hitting from their forehand side of the back court, or the front court for that matter, then I'm going to first align my feet in the correct position, and then make sure that my hips are facing the hitter. My racket is out in front of me, and this is the correct defense stance. If my opponent is in their backhand side, then I'm going to turn now and face, so I'm going to slide my base over, and now I'm going to face towards them with my hips and my shoulders, so I'm ready to move here and here in the quickest way, because those are going to come most aggressively onto my side. If the cross court comes, then I'll take the time to twist, because I'll have that time as it's a further distance. Now when it comes to doubles, it's the same concept, but now we don't have that central base because we've got two players on the court. But the changing of the positioning still takes place. If I'm playing doubles and my opponent is hitting from their backhand side of the court, then again, I'm going to line up my base to be directly straight in front of the attacker. A common mistake that happens in doubles and mixed is that the person defending directly in front of the attacker doesn't get far enough out to the line. So as a rule of thumb, and I had a great doubles player in Denmark advised me this. It was actually my very first practice in Denmark, and I was playing doubles with this player, and she had been #1 in the world. I think she was #3 in the world at the time. And I was playing doubles with her, and she kept giving me a push out to the side. We had a bit of a language barrier at first, and so I didn't know how to speak Danish then, and she would push me out to the side, and I thought, why is she pushing me so far out? This felt so strange to be so far out defending. But that's when I learned that actually that is the correct stance for doubles, is to make sure that when you're covering the straight and the lift is all the way out near the alleyway, that you've got your outside foot on the line so that you can cover the straight and not be too exposed down into the alley. So if I'm covering the straight here, then my doubles partner is going to shift his or her base over to cover the straight, so they can now cover the middle area of the court. They still have to cover the cross court, but again, because the court is not a square, they give up that cross court because it's going to take more time, and it's a very risky shot for doubles to hit such a cross court, because if I get it, I can very easily counter it and expose them down into the back of their court. So if the lift is coming from my opponent's forehand side in doubles, then I'm going to shift my base now out to the side and ensure that my outside foot is touching the line on the singles line so that I can cover out all the way to the doubles line for my defense, as well as into about here. And then from here onwards is my partner's responsibility to come slide over and cover that area. For doubles and mixed as well as singles, the same rule applies to line up your hips towards the hitter. Try this out. Let me know your comments. I hope you'll find success with it. See you in the next episode.